change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End.
Does Helm Paint have the best paint on the planet? Helm, yeah. We only sell Benjamin Moore, the world's finest paint. Because paint ain't paint. Let us steer you right. Helm Paint.
Supply. Every Tuesday, The Real Deal with Dan Reel. Dan Reel, former executive over at Caesars, not only ran the New Orleans property, but all the properties in the region. He's retired now, but just from that, taking on a new life. Dan, you were what, in Los Angeles, knocking out a very interesting interview the last few weeks. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I was. I interviewed Shohei Ohtani's interpreter's bookie. So Shohei's interpreter wound up betting $325 million through this guy, and ultimately wound up losing $40 million total. He paid him $16 million from Shohei's bank account without Shohei knowing about it, and he still owed the bookie $24 million. Now he's in prison serving 57 months.
Wow!
And the bookie just found out that he's only going to get 15 months, which isn't bad when you have 1,200 customers and you do a bunch of different things. You know, he was a nice guy. He let me into his house. I'd never met him before. I just reached out and said, I want to talk about the story. I find it interesting on many levels. You know, I didn't know if Shohei really was involved or not. You know, at that level, I would never think it was just an interpreter. But I left there now feeling pretty confident, almost 100% certain that Shohei literally didn't know anything about it. His best friend in the States, an interpreter, wound up taking not all of his money. He just signed a $700 million contract. Shohei's going to be fine. I guess it's good that if you have $16 million missing, you don't know about it, you're doing okay. But that's how it ended up. And, I wound up going to his house, and we went 3 hours unscripted and putting little pieces of it out on social media. And I thought it was pretty interesting.
Will there eventually be like a website? We'll watch the whole thing. Is this the beginning of a new thing for you?
Yeah, I'm focusing all of my time now on gambling addiction. And so after 28 years in the industry, I am going to try to use that knowledge that I gained at a time when there is rampant gambling addiction in the States, just because of how swift everything moved. And now you take the ability to bet on every pitch and you put it on an already addictive device. And so I'm not all of a sudden anti-gaming. It got me through a great, great career, and I met a lot of unbelievable people, and over 90% of the population can do so and have fun. I'm not looking at that. I'm just trying to find the other, there's about 20 million people in the United States right now who are struggling, and there's really not a great resource. So that's what I'm putting all my time and energy in, and I'm trying to get it started by, having a few big stories like that. But I'm going to roll out my website probably in about 30 days.
Is Caesars like, boy, Dan's a sellout, he's gone in the other direction now that he doesn't work for us? Or are they like, we love what Dan's doing. You can be a bartender and serve drinks if you're just trying to help out the people that are alcoholics and not the people that have no problem. That's a whole different story. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to turn into a preacher. What I'm doing is I'm going out there to try to find people who are having a hard time. And one thing I've become pretty good at is being able to help people that are in that situation. They always think that they don't have options. And what I'm showing them is there are options, and you're not alone. And it's not just about willpower. So I'm not going after any company. I love Caesars. They were so good to me until the final day when I chose to leave, and they've reached out. They've stayed in touch. We're, very good friends with the organization.
No, good.
This has nothing to do with
that. I thought that's what I thought too. I was thinking almost they could hire you in some kind of consulting role to help with that, 800 gambling problem number and the stuff you're doing. Anyway, I was just curious.
Yeah, so that's where my attention is going to be. But again, I've been doing that for months, and we've been on together, and I've never even brought it up once. That's how I'm trying to just let the world know I'm not on a mission to go get people in trouble. I'm just trying to find those who are.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's The Real Deal with Dan Real. The big story breaking Friday, Mayor Junket Cantrell, federal indictment, still the big story in the local news. In the next few days, Dan, over on Poydras Street, she's not going to be able to avoid it. The cameras will be there. It'll be the mayor and her attorney, Vappy and his attorney, an arraignment, a bond hearing, and then we'll find out the ultimate. Will Junket Cantrell be grounded? There might be travel restrictions on this indictment.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to play out. I've been listening to the experts on this a little bit, and, there's a little bit of uncertainty with them even. So I'm not the person to talk about what potentially could happen. My gut tells me that, they've been working on this for quite a while. And
I think that's right.
Yeah, I think that there's already a decision made as far as the route that this is going to go. Now, what the judge does, that's not something I can predict, but I believe that the prosecutors and the district attorney, everybody that's been involved, I think has been involved for a while, Corey. And I just think it's going to come down to, one person making a decision on the facts that stand in front of them. And I think, unfortunately, the limit is going to be pretty small.
Boy, the mayor's world's just closing in on her. This criminal indictment. And then she has to ask the civil court to pause that Ann Bro case against her. And Ann Bro, you could argue, I don't know if it's the first mover, Dan, but it's a significant public mover with the photograph, and it's part of the federal indictment. So the mayor just surrounded by this, and all of it because of her own kind of blatant, flagrant attitude of parading around with Vappy.
Yeah, what's amazing? You go back and look at Lee's interview and, going in, Zurich's interview, going in and, asking what are uncomfortable questions.
Yep.
And getting very, very rude replies.
Hey, I'm kind of freaked out you're here, Lee. It's kind of, you're kind of freaking me out. It's just like, wow, that's the answer you get? You're kind of freaking me out?
Well, you find out that she says that because 6 days earlier, she caught wind that he was all over the issue. So I think that played out in that scenario where it's like, hey, man, I know you've been tracking me. This is really freaking me out.
Well, you know what's great about that whole thing, Dan? That the mayor, in control of the French Market Corporation, all the appointees on the board are hers. She got them to install security cameras in front of her Pontalba apartment doorway in case, anything goes down. And I want protection, y'all. And didn't realize that this is a public entity. Fox 8 can request those videos, and they scoured them, probably with interns with that jog shuttle control. Hey, guys, you just sit here. You're a 20-year-old intern. Anytime you see someone coming in and out of that building, you edit it onto this tape, or you call one of us in here. And they just sat there, 5, 6, 8 interns, and blew through 800 hours of video. And the mayor basically incriminated herself with her own cameras that she requested while she was pilfering time at the Pontalba apartment. It's so sad. It's almost funny.
Yeah, I mean, I bet it started with, we'll stay there this weekend, and then it turned into, I don't even need to go into the office. This is pretty sweet here. Corey, I'm just glad that it's been handled and that there are consequences, no matter what they may be.
Yep.
And, that's all I wanted was, if you're going to do something like that, you need to be held accountable.
That's right.
With the rest of the soap opera parts, I'm going to be honest, it's not going to be great for being a guest on a show, but I'm just ready for this to end. I don't want to hear any more about the picture in the quarter. I don't want to hear more about her blaming other people. I just want her to be held accountable, and let's move on.
All right, let's move on. And I think that's a brilliant point. You're right. All the minutia and all that, that's for me to talk show, week in, week out, all that. But what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Justice, accountability. With that said, Dan, and we'll move on, Is jail time required? Or will you or me or citizens in New Orleans feel that justice was not served? I look at like an Irvin Mayfield, the trumpeter, that joker, pilfering $1.3 million from the most needy in this city, the Orleans Parish Library System, the public library system. He goes to Pensacola for 7 months. I know people that have gone to Pensacola. That's easy time as there is. And at no time, I wouldn't want to be restricted to English Turn Golf and Country Club behind the walls there for 11 months. And I could play golf and tennis and swim every day. I wouldn't want that. But the point is, he was at an easy prison in Pensacola, spent 3 months in a halfway house. 11 months in, he's out. And he walks with $1.3 million. I think a lot of people would take that and they could walk with $1.3 million. Some feel even with jail time, justice was not served. My point with LaToya Cantrell, I think a lot of people, myself included, some jail time, I don't care if it's 12 months, 18 months, 20 months, some jail time needs to be served from where I sit. What do you say?
I don't know enough about the system to know if she should be in jail or not. I know that what she did was wrong. I know that it was, again, what I said, what can you do worse than just, stick the middle finger up basically to your entire city?
Well, let me say this, Dan. All these, any offense she's found guilty of, jail time is a possibility. And the judge can say no jail time, or the feds can work something out where she walks with no jail time if she pleads guilty. I'm just asking, do you think there should be some jail time regardless of how, the system works? Just for what I see and what it appears she has done, unless all this is proven wrong, I think for the city to really feel justice, there needs to be some jail time. Yes or no?
Well, I'm going to say yes with a caveat, which is, again, I don't know if I'm, Matt Bowers or, Gail Benson, or I don't want to inject other people's names. But if I'm somebody that's not the mayor, and I know that that's a dumb argument, but I have to think that in a situation like that, this world has been made of plea deals. So I don't know, Corey. Do I want it? I don't even really care. I just am glad that she had to deal with it. And now what happens? I know I don't give you wishy-washy answers usually, but I don't know enough to say if she should be in prison for this.
You just answered it. You're happy that she was indicted. That not happy. You feel that.
Now let justice do what they do with everybody else and treat it the same way. And if the bar is raised because you're a public official, then do it. Do what gets done. I just haven't kept up enough to know what's going on with these deals when they're going on throughout the country on an everyday basis.
No, I'm with you. It's The Real Deal with Dan Real, Corey Johnson with you. Hey, Young's Dry Cleaning's been with you since 1940, 85 years of true excellence. If you're tired of your dry cleaner, want to experience the best, youngsdrycleaning.com, youngsdrycleaning.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We do in all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience. Right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
South Shore residents that love good food are making the short trip across the lake to Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. North Shore folks have known about Gallagher's 527 for years. Now the South Shore has discovered this hidden gem. One of the metro area's best restaurants is less than 30 minutes away. Take the quick trip across the lake and experience Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. As good as it gets.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live, we live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love, more. When you do something, you have to do it right. You know, it's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
Tired of cleaning your gutters? Improve the value and look of your home with Leaf Guard gutters. And you'll never have to clean your gutters again, ever. I guarantee it. Let Audubon Gutters install Leaf Guard gutters today. You'll improve the look and value of your home. And right now is the perfect time during Audubon Gutters' 99-cent installation sale. Call 469-6494 now.
Get out of that gutter and get on the phone. At Audubon Gutters.
A scorcher out there. Stay hydrated, New Orleans. 95 feels like north of $1.05. Corey Johnson back at you every weekday afternoon on the radio, on television, on YouTube. CoreyTalks.com has all the info, all the links, where we are on radio, TV, YouTube, all that. CoreyTalks.com. Every Tuesday, 4 o'clock hour, The Real Deal with Dan Real, talking about the indictment. Any final thoughts till we move on, Dan, or just let's move on?
No, I'd rather ask you the history behind your first name. How is K-A-A-R-E Corey?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the Danish people, I guess.
All right.
Yeah.
Has that been a thing for a long time for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, one time at the license bureau, the lady said Corey Johnson, and I walked up and I said, how did you get Corey out of that? She goes, what else would it be? I was like, I don't know, about 999 out of the last 1,000 people butchered it. You're the first to ever get it right. Yeah. My brother's Bjorn, B-J-O-R-N.
Okay.
No, it's kind of an interesting story. My dad wanted to go to Europe when he was young. He went down to the dock, got on a ship, worked on the boat, and went to Europe and came back a few months later. And on the boat working with him were these two Scandinavian guys, two brothers, Bjorn and Corey. So that's who we're named after.
That's great. Yeah, I'm glad we had that fact instead of more talk about that other topic. Yeah, let's move on.
We'd go into Dan, but Dan just doesn't have as much oomph as K-A-A-R-E.
It does not.
Well, anyway, all right, Dan, let's get back into some other good stuff. A mayoral poll came out from Channel 4. Your guy, Royce Duplessis, man, you were on him before things even got cooking, before any polls came out. And the first poll, he's almost tied with Oliver Thomas. It was like 16% to 14% right out the gate. And he basically knocked Arthur Hunter into La La Land. A few weeks later, Arthur Hunter calls it a day. Another poll comes out without Arthur Hunter, and Royce Duplessis is in second place now behind Helena Moreno. He's a few points ahead of Oliver Thomas.
Yeah, you know what I felt about that from the beginning. I told you my stance is I don't mind Helena whatsoever. I think she'll take the job seriously. I think she wants it really bad for the right reasons, but I've worked with Royce, and Royce is a very kind person. He knows how to work across the aisle. He will represent the city very well. And, I'm just hoping maybe Oliver Thomas, finally sees that it's not going to happen, because in a head-to-head he'd be crushed, and maybe he'll do the right thing and give Royce a chance, because I think that's the best chance that there is in the race to upset Helena. But she still has a ton of money and is a qualified candidate, so we'll see what happens. But I wouldn't mind seeing Royce catapult up and make it a race.
I'm going to assume Oliver Thomas is going to at least give it one more big push, at the very least, and see if he gains any traction. And if there's no sign of life, I don't know, maybe he bails and then he can give that money to Royce, and a lot of the votes for Oliver Thomas will go to Royce, and then it's a different race for sure. I just don't know if Oliver Thomas is going to bail on this race.
I mean, how do you not? Without Royce, you were down 30 points. You know, at what point do you sit here right now and think that you have a chance to win this race? There is none. There's only two people. It's either Royce or it's Helena, and it's most likely Helena. But Oliver is, at some point, he's been stuck at this level with and without Royce, and it's never going to change. So I don't know what you gain, but maybe he will roll it out for a few more months, a few more weeks, whatever it may be, because time's running out. But I just think that the outcome will be what I predicted to you a couple months ago, which is it's going to be Royce and Helena in the end. And I can't predict the winner from that, but I don't mind either choice, and I prefer Royce. That's all.
Helena Moreno is pretty much staying where she was, 47%. Royce in the race, Royce not in the race, Hunter in the race, Hunter not in the race. She's at 47%. What basically happened is Duplessis took Hunter's numbers and took some of Oliver Thomas's. So he's got 18% now. Oliver Thomas has 16%. They both have the exact same amount of the black vote. Helena Moreno has 6 points more black vote than either one of the black candidates. So I think the only hope for a Royce Duplessis is Oliver Thomas gets out of the race, and somehow Royce Duplessis gets just a little bit of this undecided black vote and a little bit of the undecided white vote, and keeps Helena Moreno from winning in the primary, getting over 50% at the get-go. If he can get into a runoff, then I guess he has some kind of chance. I mean, small, but at least there would be a chance. But I think it's about a 50-50 chance Helena Moreno wins in the primary.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say this, but I think the next 4 weeks are going to determine the whole thing, because if the three candidates stay in it, obviously know she's going to win the race. But if they get down to two, and if it's Royce picking up Oliver Thomas, I think you have a whole new ball game. And then even with looking at gender, looking at race, looking at other things, I think it all becomes brand new. I think the races and the genders had their pick between Oliver Thomas and Helena, and I think Royce is an interesting caveat, interesting new candidate, and might pull better in the East and do some other things that Oliver just wasn't getting. So I just think that that's the dynamic, and I think if that is the case, I think the city will be okay.
Yeah, I think Oliver Thomas is capped out. I don't know where he can get any more votes. I think what he has is what he gets, and that's it. It's the real deal with Dan Real. Dan, let's just keep it in chronological order. I guess Putin only could go to Alaska. From what I understand, if he flew over any other country, they could intercept him, and he's a wanted criminal. In the international civilized world, Alaska's maybe the only place he could go. So Putin comes to Alaska. I just thought it was utterly ridiculous. So on so many levels, the way that President Trump greeted Vladimir Putin, it was like he was greeting an ally, like he was greeting someone from the UK or France or Canada or Japan or Germany. It was kind of mind blowing. I don't know if anything got accomplished there. I guess something did. Maybe we'll see. But the one thing we definitively know that got accomplished, the future we still don't know, is that Putin to the Russian people looks really, really good right now. Looks powerful. It only helped him. It was great propaganda for him. We'll see if the United States or Ukraine, most importantly in Europe, gain anything from it. What did you think of the Alaskan summit?
I'm on a different page than you. I mean, what do you want them to do? You want them to put them in a headlock? You want them to spit on them? I mean, they're trying to make a deal, one of the biggest deals in the entire world.
You just don't have to kiss his ass, that's all.
I don't know. I mean, he pulled a flyover on him. I mean, that's pretty ballsy. That's,
No, I like that. That was nice. Would Kim Jong-un get the same kind of greeting? Because that's what I'm wondering. Would he get the same greeting, Kim Jong-un?
I don't know. I mean, no, because why does he need to talk to him? Trump hates war, all right? So no matter what anybody thinks about him, and I'm not a MAGA guy, but I'm closer to that than the other, what I will tell you is he's trying to make a deal, and there's a lot of pressure to do so, and it's not a very easy situation to be in. Europe can't figure it out. Everybody talks about what they want Ukraine to do. The reality is, Corey, you and I differ because I just want this thing to end. People stop dying. Let's draw up the maps.
How do we differ?
And move on.
How do we differ? I don't want it to end, and I want people to keep dying.
You're telling people who are saying that there needs to be a conclusion. You're calling them, brain dead, and saying that that Putin's at war.
And you don't like spaghetti and meatballs. I don't understand how you've gone from. I thought it was an absurd appearance and a propaganda gain for Putin. We'll see if it leads to anything for Ukraine and Europe, but I didn't say anything. I want the war to continue and people to die. I don't see how we differ on. I don't understand the part where we differ.
Listen, I'm going by what I saw you on Twitter. I haven't talked to you about this topic. We have in the past.
What have I said on Twitter that makes me want the war to continue and people to die?
I mean, I didn't say that directly, but you indirectly, Corey, if you're calling for Putin to be dismissed and to, not be taken seriously in conversation.
I'm not at all. I'm saying treat him like he should be treated. He's not France or England or Japan, and you don't have to appease and placate him and pat him on the shoulder and laugh with him. I mean, Trump in the beginning, smiling. Putin's just got this grin. At the end, Trump is ticked off, and Putin's got the poop-eating grin. I mean, you didn't kind of see that? Like Putin felt like he won, and Trump felt like he lost.
If you're basing this on optics of that few days, you're missing the whole point. You've never negotiated with somebody that's unreasonable then. I have. And what you have to do is you have to minimize damage. You can't always just get your way. And what I'm saying is, if you are taking any stance other than trying to bring this to an immediate conclusion through means that might not be palatable for Ukraine, I am for it because it's got to come to an end. And if you're going to be anti-Putin, I get it. I can't stand the man. He is the worst of the worst. But saying that does not solve the problem.
Of course it doesn't.
You've got to stop the war.
Of course, and he's the person you have to negotiate with. But
yes.
The president sends out this vibe that like Putin's a friend, like he's not an adversary, that he's an ally of the United States. I mean, Trump likes Putin because Putin is a dictator and has full control over everything. I'd love to hear their inside conversations. I bet Putin said, well, in the United States, we can't do that. And Putin's like, well, in Russia, we do that. And Trump probably laughs and says, I would love to be able to do that. But,
that might be funny non-wartime, but that's not what's happening now.
No. And Dan, as far as ending the war, I'm all for ending the war. That's I don't know anyone who's against ending the war that wants the war to continue, but there are different ways to get there. Hold that thought. Last break, we'll come back. You pick it up on the other end. It's The Real Deal. Dan Reel's with us. We do it every Tuesday. Don't move, New Orleans. Coming right back with a lot more.
When USA Today ranked the 10 best must-visit New Orleans restaurants for travelers, Mid-City's own Katie's made the list. USA Today says Scott Craig is chef-owner at Katie's, a much-loved Creole Italian eatery that draws armies of regulars for lunch, brunch, and dinner. A neighborhood spot where locals congregate and New Orleans-style hospitality rules. Indeed it does. Katie's in Mid-City.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com. Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Word is, one of the best restaurants in New Orleans isn't even in New Orleans. Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. Cross the lake and taste what you're missing. Tuesday through Saturday, Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, it's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof, now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on Magazine, as unique as you.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Hey, paint ain't paint. Helm Paint and Decorating. Benjamin Moore Paint, the best paint on the planet. Say no to the big box store. Say no to the national chain store. Over 55 years in New Orleans. The last few years in Baton Rouge, Tiger Town. When you got to paint in Metro New Orleans, when you got to paint in Metro Baton Rouge, do it once, do it right. They'll steer you in the right direction. It's what they do. Helm Paint and Decorating. It's the real deal with Dan Reel. That break train cuts us off sometime. Dan, take it away.
No, I understand. But, I didn't have your commentary in front of me, but that break gave me a chance to pull it up. And this is what I was responding to. You say to a person who wrote something on Twitter, hey, bro, why don't you move to Russia? The pro-Putin and pro-Russia sentiment in America is nauseating. You people are traitors. Ukraine is our friend. Russia is our enemy. There's no argument here. Partisan politics ruin people. Putin should be in jail. So,
well, first off, you should probably read the comment that he responded to. But that's fine. No, I stand by all of what you said.
Yeah, and listen, you have a common view. I don't think it's crazy. What I'm asking you is, I have a different view than you. My view is Putin's not going to jail. Nobody's putting him anywhere at any point in time.
Agreed.
We know that. So
I agree with that. I just said he should be in jail.
Fighting and say that you have the right to do so, or do you just realize that this is a war that nobody's going to win, and Russia will never stop, and nobody's going to get in the way of what's happening right now? And the right answer is save the best that you possibly can of a terrible situation.
So what does that mean? Like giving up a lot of Ukraine, so Russia has Crimea and the Donetsk and all those other regions leading down to Crimea, just give that to Russia and call it a day?
You save the belted area, and you give up the rest, and you start over. And there's a new rule, new law, new everything. They're on board, and you move forward.
Yeah, that they had new laws.
Could they do it again in 5 years?
Yes.
And go against?
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
But you know what? That we have no reason to get involved over there with our people, our military. It should be what is happening now. The United States is trying to broker a deal. They are trying to be inclusive. He included the entire EU, basically. So I don't know what else you want him to do. Shaking his hand, smiling in his face. I would do all of that if at the end of the day it would get him to just say enough's enough. I would do all of it. I don't care how embarrassing I look or how weak I look. You know what I got? The end of a war. And that's my stance on
the
it.
United States.
He's a dictator, a killing dictator, and a scumbag, but nobody can do anything about it. So
I disagree, Dan. I think that is the most unbelievably defeatist attitude ever. This, like, we can't do anything about it. Ukraine can't win the war. That's just mind-blowing to me that you say that. Ukraine is this vehicle where the United States already should have. Biden blew it. Biden should have been much more aggressive. We could have just dismantled the Soviet military. The country would have been in chaos. Just the ruble would have been just destroyed. Oil and gas cut off, being exported out. The entire country would have gone into chaos. They would have ousted Putin, possibly. That's how you get that going.
You call me defeatist. That is a dream.
What's the threat there? I mean, you say there's no way to win the war. That's mind blowing to me. It's the whole world against North Korea, Russia, and Iran. China isn't really even involved. Of course, we can win the war, and it doesn't require our boots on the ground. It requires insane sanctions. Lindsey Graham said it like 2 days ago. He was right on the money. Check out what Lindsey Graham said.
I saw what he said. I read it. I know. I'm staying in touch with this. Listen, 4 years, Corey. So what's going to be different right now? What is going to be different? We've spent billions and billions of dollars in equipment.
Yeah, we got half-assed.
People are losing their lives. And you say defeatist. I'm a realist, man. Nobody is going to stop this man. Okay, his own country is not, or else something could happen. But if you think that China won't be at their back if something had to happen, you're playing a very dangerous game. And all I'm saying is people can yell about the guy all they want. They're not taking him out of office, and nobody is going to do anything about it. So what do? You protect what you have left and you move on.
I disagree. I mean, there's already so much turmoil going on in Russia right now with the billionaires, a lot of people against Putin. It's not smooth sailing. Alaska made it a lot more smooth for him right now. He bought more time. So now it happens all the time where people out. I mean, no one thought Assad was going anywhere. And then 24 hours later, he's gone. So Putin easily could go the same way. I just think that attitude you had of can't win, impossible to defeat him. Ukraine can't win. It's Europe, the United States against Russia through Ukraine. Of course we can win. Of course.
Corey, it's been 4 years, tons of military equipment, unbelievable support.
So wait, hang on. So what you're saying is Joe Biden did everything possible. He did everything right, and it proved that it wasn't effective. That's what you're saying? Because I'm saying Joe Biden did it half-assed.
What I'm saying is they are in a war similar to Israel and Gaza and Hamas, okay? They are in a war that has been going on for as long as humans have been alive. The Crimea with Obama, this has been a nonstop thing. At what point are we not saying that the United States just needs to focus on the United States until there are situations where we can truly impact the outcome? Whether that is a drought or whether that is famine or whatever that is, America steps up.
Well, that's another screw up right there.
Ukraine in Russia right now is absolutely a waste of time and money right now because we've already spent it and it's not ending.
That's a problem you just mentioned right there. Crimea and Obama not doing anything. Another Obama, Biden, now Trump. all this half-ass support of Ukraine.
Involved, you get upset. Listen, you use Bashar al-Assad. Bashar al-Assad was hated by many of the people. Putin is not a paper tiger. He is firm there. And the billionaires know that they've already had their assets frozen. So they're not doing anything to him. I just don't understand how you think people who are saying that this needs to come to an end at the minimal exchange of territory is not the best outcome.
No, I think that's a great outcome, but that's not what people are saying. People are kissing Putin's rear end and saying, whatever you want that you've got from Ukraine, you keep, and we end the war, and Ukraine has to give up a lot of territory, and Putin walks off as like a winner. So no, that's
you heard me say?
No, that's essentially, yeah, between the lines, yes.
Oh,
yes.
It is?
Yes.
Putin's a good guy?
No. I didn't say you said he's a good guy. He walks away a winner.
Give him everything he wants.
He gets all the land in Ukraine that he's got so far, and that's how he walks away a winner. Uh-oh, Dan, Blue Boy's barking. We'll do it again next week.
All right, you take care. Do a little homework on Russia.
I will. That's Dan Real, the real deal with Dan Real. We'll do it again. Hey, 5 o'clock powwow is up next. John Couvillon, Pollster joins
Corey
us.
Johnson on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 3.
Mayoral poll,
Also on
sheriff's
YouTube,
poll.
On radio at NOLA Talk 93.9
Couvillon
FM,
knows his
WSLA
stuff.
New Orleans.
It's 5 p.m.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on magazine, as unique as you.
Tired of cleaning your gutters? Improve the value and look of your home with Leaf Guard gutters. And you'll never have to clean your gutters again. Ever. I guarantee it. Let Audubon Gutters install Leaf Guard gutters today. You'll improve the look and value of your home. And right now is the perfect time during Audubon Gutters' 99-cent installation sale. Call 469-6494 now.
Get out of that gutter and get on the phone. At Audubon Gutters.
South Shore residents that love good food are making the short trip across the lake to Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. North Shore folks have known about Gallagher's 527 for years. Now the South Shore has discovered this hidden gem. One of the metro area's best restaurants is less than 30 minutes away. Take the quick trip across the lake and experience Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. As good as it gets.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
It's time to relax. The Woodhouse Day Spa, Metro New Orleans' premier day spa experience, now with 5 area locations. For a day of relaxation or maybe just a quick 1-hour getaway, the Metro area's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa, and now 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and our newest location in Mandeville. The Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots. Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com. My Sittu, that's Arabic for grandmother, used to make the best football kibbe. You can experience kibbe just like my grandmother used to make, and so many other Middle Eastern favorites on the streetcar line. Lebanon's Cafe.
Does Helm Paint have the best paint on the planet? Helm, yeah. We only sell Benjamin Moore, the world's finest paint. Because paint ain't paint. Let us steer you right.
Helm Paint. Paint Supply.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live. We live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love, more. When you do something, you have to do it right. You know, it's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
Yeah, you right. Or in Kansas, as they say, yes, comma, you are correct. Wow. I don't know if yeah, you're right even means you're correct. It does. It can mean you're correct. It can mean, hey, how are you? What's going on? Good to see you. Lots of things like that. Right, Drew Brees? Because this is New Orleans. And we got lots of yadisms and things like, yeah, you're right. Thanks so much for joining us on this scorcher of an August Tuesday afternoon. Corey Johnson with you. Yeah, you're right. 5 o'clock power hour on its way, like right now. Yeah, so hot. It's hazy out there. 95 feels like $1.05 at least. So hot, it's hazy. Oh, boy. I said it last hour. The easy-to-traverse summer roadways of Metro New Orleans are about to be clogged with the inundation of back-to-school traffic. Kaboom goes the dynamite. Speaking of kaboom goes the dynamite, Mayor Junket Cantrell, is he laughing and smiling on the air? Mayor Junket Cantrell, federal indictment from Friday, still dominating the local news as it should. In the next few days, probably sometime this week, we'll see the mayor and her attorney. We'll see Vappy and his attorney on Poydras Street, the United States Courthouse. Arraignment, bond hearing, restricted travel, possibly. Junket Cantrell might be grounded. That would be refreshing, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that just be fair, more justice? Because I can tell you, you got to laugh. If travel isn't restricted, this mayor will be at some mayor's conference in a week or two in another city. Hey, y'all, look, I'm not going to stop my travel. Coupled with it shows the confidence that I'm not bothered by this and I'm innocent. So all kind of ways to justify all kind of crazy behavior. People do it all the time. We all do. We all justify things. The mayor just takes it up to an absurd level, like going back in time, like kindergarten, nursery school type absurd level, beyond childish. So petty, so ridiculous. Her own worst enemy, just the belligerent attitude, the junkets. I mean, I've nicknamed her Junket Cantrell for the last few years. There hasn't been a single job created, not a dollar brought in, doesn't even try to fake it. We talked with this company, doesn't even fake it. Let's go at least talk with the company. We know we have no shot of gaining anything, but at least we can say we sat with them. And as mayor of New Orleans, you can get appointments with pretty bigwig people. Hey, we're going to travel all the way to Italy. We'd like to see the people at Fiat. Somebody will see you, and they'll publicize it. You can take photos with them and everything. New Orleans mayor talking about potential economic opportunities with the people at Fiat. Could have done that for 2 hours for the week-long trip to Italy and at least faked it. You know, my buddy runs a restaurant. Today's kids, they'll send in a text saying, hey, can't make it to work tomorrow. Have to go to my brother's party. It's like, wow. Couldn't you have at least made up grandma died, the dog ate it, something that's pseudo-realistic? Have to go to my brother's party? What, you supposed to get credit for telling the truth? Yeah, I'm not telling you to lie, but my God, that's the excuse for not working? Got to come up with something better than that. Oh, boy. The mayor asking the civil court to pause her case with Ann Bro. Ann Bro's suing the mayor in civil court. So the mayor has a criminal indictment, and ironically, the civil case is part of the fuel for the criminal indictment. Ann Bro taking the photo from her balcony of the mayor and Vappy yucking it up on like a date at Tableau. And the mayor claiming it was just strictly the security detail having, dinner with her. Not that this means anything, different time, different situations, but the several times I've seen the mayor, I mean, the time at Lillette where an SUV pulls up blocking the fire hydrant and two cops get out and just stand on the sidewalk. And then another SUV pulls up and there's a cop in there and the mayor gets out and sits at a table and then the three cops start talking. So they're two SUVs, three NOPD, and the mayor's having a meal outside with some friends or something. So I don't know if it applies there. And then at Houston's, she's just getting hammered, eating French fries and knocking back about 5-6 drinks and had her own to-go cup out of the purse that she poured the last drink into and walks out with it because Houston's doesn't have to-go cups. And the two cops are sitting on the bench like they're waiting to get seated for the whole duration. So I don't know, maybe it's different situation. She'd invite the security detail to join her, but Vappy, it's all the time. Vappy, the trips, first class. I mean, we know the story, It's like cheating on the spouse. They know you're cheating. You can make up all these stories. You can say it takes 15 minutes to go from here to there. Let's go time it and all this. If it doesn't smell right, it doesn't smell right. If there's smoke, there's fire, whatever, And we know what the mayor's doing. We know what the mayor's been up to. We know how petty and childish and how juvenile the mayor is. No, this indictment, sadly is refreshing. It sort of, puts a choke chain on the mayor. Not all this cocking off and mouthing off and Lee Zirk, you're freaking me out. And, no press conferences anymore. And then just the travel and sort of the middle finger to the city. Black, white, gay, straight. We don't care. I'm Mayor LaToya Cantrell. Screw you, New Orleans. I'm taking advantage of the system. And I'm going to do it over and over again. And did you hear me the first time? Screw you. So no, this indictment, that's sort of satisfying in that regard, that it sort of mutes this mayor, kind of puts this mayor in her place, quiets this mayor down, pours a bucket of ice cold water on her, shuts her up for a while. And then hopefully this week, the arraignment and the bond hearing, travel is restricted. I mean, I think that is key, that there isn't even a thought. I mean, the main point of this case, a big part of this case, is the travel with Vappy to all kind of crazy destinations like Scotland and the United Arab Emirates. Google United Arab Emirates. I think a lot of people would like to go visit there. And I can tell you this, it would be an expensive trip. For you and someone else to go to the United Arab Emirates for a week or so like the mayor, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars. To fly there, to stay there, to live for a week there and dine and eat and do things. Tens of thousands of dollars. It's not you're not going down the road to Orange Beach. It's in a weekend in Biloxi. Corey Johnson with you on a Tuesday afternoon. No, I don't gloat with someone's grief, and I don't get off on someone, having problems. But the mayor literally brought all of this upon herself and more and more. And speaking of more, I think there will be superseding indictments. There'll be more indictments coming for LaToya Cantrell. She'll be given a chance, probably already has been given a chance to plead guilty. She'll be given another chance to plead guilty with the threat of more indictments coming. AG Liz Murrell, in a letter to the mayor, I mean, it just doesn't stop, demands all proceeds, money collected from school zone cameras since August of last year, be refunded to those that paid their tickets. All the money. Crazy. Hey, speaking of the mayor, Channel 4, a new mayoral poll. John Couvillon's going to join us from JMC Analytics and Polling. John Couvillon's been doing this a while. We'll talk about polling in general. We'll talk about the mayor's race. We'll talk about the sheriff's race in New Orleans. John Couvillon's going to join us next. Hey, if you wear prescription glasses like me for decades since I was a kid, or you need a great pair of sunglasses, do not go to the mall. Do not go to some chain store. Do not order something online. Are you crazy? Go to Art and Eyes on Magazine. Google them. Art and Eyes on Magazine. Eyewear that's as unique as you. One of the finest eyewear shops in America. Something you'd see like in New York or LA or Paris. You're going to walk in and be blown away. Thousands of pairs of incredible frames with a staff that loves what they do. And they'll make sure you get a great pair of frames. I mean, I go into Art and Eyes on Magazine. I got about 8 pairs of frames, sunglasses and prescription glasses. I'm not kidding. I go into Art and Eyes on Magazine. I'll end up picking up like 6, 8 frames that I like. And then we'll narrow it. They're on a tray and I'm trying them on and getting different opinions from different people that work there. And I'm looking in the mirror and I'm winding it, cutting it down 8 to 6 to 4 to 2. Sometimes I buy both. And then sometimes I narrow it down to 1 and get that frame. You need prescription glasses. You need a great pair of sunglasses. Trust me on this. You'll be glad you did. Incredible stuff. Art and Eyes on Magazine. Google them. Open 7 days a week, too. John Couvillon joins us next. Yeah, that latest poll, Helena Moreno's not moving. She's staying right where she is, like 47%. But Royce Duplessis is on the move up, and Oliver Thomas is on the move down, and Arthur Hunter drops out the race totally. So it could be a Helena Moreno, Royce Duplessis race, especially if Oliver Thomas were to drop out. We'll talk to John Couvillon about that and more. Stick around.
Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End.
Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots. Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Scott Craig of Katie's Restaurant.
All of my ingredients are fresh. Nothing comes out of a can here. Nothing. All of our seafood is Louisiana. All of our vegetables are Louisiana vegetables. It's a neighborhood restaurant.
Katie's in Mid-City.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations, New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Word is, one of the best restaurants in New Orleans isn't even in New Orleans. Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. Cross the lake and taste what you're missing. Tuesday through Saturday. Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville.
The man is right on the money on that. My brother came in from London with his son, my nephew, my mom, my other brother, my sister. We headed across the lake. We went to Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. Absolutely outstanding. So good. Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville on the North Shore. You South Shore folks, I'm telling you, it's worth the drive to the North Shore. 25 minutes. There's no driving on the North Shore. Right when you cross the causeway, right behind the Shell by that Acquista Pace Grocery, Gallagher's 527. This is Pat Gallagher's place. Gumbo, turtle soup, that crab meat St. Francis appetizer to die for. It's the original Warren LaRuth recipe, chock full of jumbo lump crab meat, steak sizzling in butter, lamb chops sizzling in butter, great seafood. You won't be disappointed. One of the finest dining experiences in Metro New Orleans. Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. So good. Tuesday afternoon, a scorcher out there. Things are heating up outside, and things are heating up as this mayor's race approaches. 7 weeks from Saturday, the city of New Orleans might elect a mayor. John Couvillon's got his pulse on this. He's with JMC Analytics and Polling. John, how are you?
Really good. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Hey, tell us what you do and what your polling and analytics company is all about and how you got into this.
Sure. So basically, technically, I deal with data analytics, which is basically, for lack of a better term, number crunching. But what I do most specifically, and which is easiest to explain to clients, is that I'm engaged in polling, and I do races within and without the state of Louisiana. In other words, I do work here, which of course is my home, as well as across the country. And so it's a very interesting business. It's certainly a good way of kind of keeping your pulse on how any political race is going. And more fun, and the most fun part about it is kind of confirming or contradicting what conventional wisdom may have about how various races are going.
Interesting that you do it all over the place. That says it's science, it's math. It's not about personalities and your opinion, right?
Correct. And, you know, the thing that's important here is when you're talking about the science and math, that's certainly a large part of it. But the other part is I would guess kind of the qualitative part, which is you want to make sure that you're asking questions in such a way to where the wording is neutral and you're not artificially putting your thumb on the scale. In other words, you want to be able to give an accurate representation of the numbers to a client or to an organization, because of course there's so much out there in polling that unfortunately gets a bad reputation that I want to make sure that's the kind of thing that if I'm putting this poll out under my name, that, you know, I stand by the results.
No, I do talk radio, talk television, been doing it for years, decades. A lot of folks are anti-polling. They don't believe in polls. And I laugh at that. I'm like, then you don't believe in math or science. They're obviously reputable polling folks. And those are the ones you stand by. And they're ones that are biased or have an agenda. And they're going to try to get the answer they're looking for. And those have that reputation. So, I believe in polling. It proves to be true all the time, especially with the margin of error part. It's scary. You know, how close it is. How do you, go ahead. No, go ahead, John.
Is a random representative sample. That's it.
Yep. Hey, how do you take on a client and not allow them to manipulate the question?
So, as I like to tell a client, I think of a poll as a collaborative exercise, meaning that there's certain things a client may be interested in testing. And then on my side, as a pollster, I want to make sure that the language is neutral and that it is easily understandable and concise. And so to me, there's a little bit of give and take on both sides. But you do have occasional people who think that a poll can be used to create a false narrative. And I have zero interest in that type of work, because the thing about it is, ultimately, we're judged by the quality of the work we put out. And if we were to engage in polls that were knowingly false, as you have seen in presidential and other elections, well, that kind of hurts your reputation.
You know, a lot of folks in radio and television, John, you know, Arbitron, Nielsen, it's like 300 books went out. That's the ratings for a market of 1.2 million. And I'm like, I go, somebody did the math and they figured out that 299 wouldn't be accurate, but 300 is the same as 3,000 or 30,000 or 300,000 being polled. Is that correct?
Well, you know, the interesting thing about that is, so you have two parts to what you just described. The numerator, which is the sample size, and the denominator, which of course is the universe or the population. Generally, the margin of error is based almost exclusively on what the numerator is. So at a sample size of 300, I want to say it's like a 5.5 to a 6% margin of error. I can tell you that the 5% mark is at about 375 to 380. And then as you go up in your sample size, you get a lower margin of error. But of course, the trade-off is there's a higher cost in obtaining that additional data. And so it's kind of an interesting, you know, back and forth you have to have with the client with what they're willing to pay versus a desired level of accuracy. But you start going above 1,000 sample, which to me is most appropriate for larger audiences, like say a nation or a very large state like Florida, California, there's really not that much incremental benefit to going higher and higher and higher, but it certainly costs more. So it's really context specific. And in other words, to put it in English, depending on what the sample universe is, like say if it is the city of Kenner or like Harahan or Slidell or Orleans Parish, all of those are different size universes that can support a different sample size. I don't know if I would necessarily have gone with a 300 sample over 1.2 million. It may have been a cost decision, to tell you the truth, in terms of, well, if we tried to get 400 booklets back, it would cost this much more, and management doesn't want to pay it.
Yeah, or it doesn't change the numbers, possibly. I don't know. I never complained about it. It just was how they did it, and I just went with how they did it, if it was good or bad. What you're saying, John, is just kind of a general truth that like 300, no matter if it's a city, rural, cold weather, climate, warm weather, anywhere in the United States, it's X amount of margin of error. And if it's 700 people, it's X amount. And at 1,000, that's pretty much the number where you're safe, where you can have what, about a 3%?
The denominator, which is the population size, that doesn't really affect the margin of error as much as changing the numerator, which is the sample size. And so it's the numerator that's all important. We as pollsters have our preferences. My rule of thumb is I like to do a 600 sample for state of Louisiana. If it is, let's say, a state representative district, I like to do 300. I do 400 for state senate district. Something like Orleans or Jefferson Parish, 400 or 500, depending on what the client's willing to spend. So there's all those kinds of intangible factors that go into determining an appropriate sample size. But to give you an example of something I would not be comfortable doing is if, let's say, someone only wanted a 200 sample size of Orleans Parish. That's way too small with way too high of a margin of error for me to be confident as to what the results are.
All right. So if you're, what would you do? Say 1,000 for New Orleans, 800?
I think it'd be overkill.
Okay, so what would be just a general number? What would you
think is kind of that sweet spot between having an appropriate margin of error versus driving up the cost?
What's that number? What's that number?
Between 400 and 500 of a sample size.
And then once you get the 400 or 500, John, what do? You split it up equally among zip codes?
So what I like to do, and we all, of course, as pollsters, we all have our individual styles. The variables I like to use to make sure that a sample is representative of the population, I look at several things simultaneously, which is the racial split, the partisan split, and the part of the city. And so in the case of New Orleans, I'd want to make sure that a certain percent came from Algiers, a certain percent from New Orleans East, a certain percent from the Uptown and Garden District wards, and so forth.
And it's an equal number. How do you
proportion?
Yeah, based off of the percentage of.
I'll give you a perfect example.
Yeah.
To address the equal number part. If let's say I were polling Jefferson Parish, the East Bank West Bank ratio roughly breaks out to about 60% on the East Bank and 40% on the West Bank. So I would want approximately 60% of my respondents to come from the East Bank and the remaining 40% to come from the West Bank.
Gotcha. John Couvillon's with us, JMC Analytics and Polling. John, the polls you produce for people, do you put them on your website or the people own them and they only get them?
So what my policy is that it's, of course, a client decision. Many of the polls I do are internal release. You do have an occasional few where the client gives permission to post those publicly. And in that situation, to answer your question as yes, then I would post them on my website. And I also let the world know via social media that a poll has been posted. So that's kind of my policy as to what goes public versus what stays private, because it is ultimately a client decision, given that they're paying the bills.
The New Orleans mayor's race, your last poll was still had Arthur Hunter in the race?
Correct. And it did not yet have Royce Duplessis in the race.
Wow. Okay. So still without Royce Duplessis. So the next poll you're going to do, and real quick, would you just do a poll arbitrarily? No, someone's got to hire you to do the poll, right?
Correct.
Okay. Do you anticipate being hired to do another poll for this race?
Oh, yeah. And typically what will happen, you still have this kind of old wives' tale, as it were, about not wanting to start political activity until after Labor Day, even though realistically, with the timeline you just gave as to how far away the New Orleans mayor's race, and by the way, you take away 2 weeks from that as to when early voting starts, and take away another couple weeks from that as to when mail-in voting starts, we're really not talking about election day being that far away.
No, especially by people that have already made their decision. No, that's a good point.
Yes. And by the way, that's an interesting point. So even though the last poll I did in the New Orleans mayor's race was in May, there was another one I had publicly released in September of 2024, which did have Royce Duplessis in it. But the interesting theme about both of those times I've done publicly released polls, the undecided percentage in the New Orleans mayor's race is not especially high.
Yeah, hold that thought. We're going to come right back. More with John Couvillon. Don't move, New Orleans.
Residents that love good food are making the short trip across the lake to Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. North Shore folks have known about Gallagher's 527 for years. Now the South Shore has discovered this hidden gem. One of the metro area's best restaurants is less than 30 minutes away. Take the quick trip across the lake and experience Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. As good as it gets.
Does Helm Paint have the best paint on the planet? Helm, yeah. We only sell Benjamin Moore, the world's finest paint. Because paint ain't paint. Let us steer you right.
Helm Paint. And supply.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, insagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, insagency.com.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on Magazine, as unique as you.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live, we live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love, more. When you do something, you have to do it right. You know, it's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations, New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
There's a Middle Eastern restaurant that's less than 5 minutes from where Causeway and River Road meet, Lebanon's Cafe. Convenient to Old Metairie and Old Jefferson. Carrollton at Jeanette on the streetcar line, Lebanon's Cafe. Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We do in all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience. Right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
Corey Johnson back at you, New Orleans, 5 o'clock power hour on a Tuesday afternoon. John Couvillon joins us from JMC Analytics and Polling. John, when do you expect the next mayoral poll to be released that you're going to be doing?
So if it's one I'm doing, I would expect at some point right after Labor Day. And I can never predict in advance if the client would want it publicly released or not. If it is, of course, I always like to tease the release on social media. And then, of course, the physical poll itself would be on my website.
When I say something on my show, like it's a 50-50 chance that Helena Moreno could win this thing in the primary, am I just shooting from the hip and it's ready, fire, aim, or I've got something to that?
Well, what's interesting about the question of whether Helena Moreno can win in the primary or not, you have several factors going on. So the first one is the easiest one to dissect, and that is the money factor. And to be fair to Royce Duplessis, he jumped in about the time that he announced he was back in the mayor's race for good. So we really can't judge him until we get to the September reports. But what we do know from the July reports is that Helena had $1.7 million on hand, as opposed to Oliver Thomas's $434,000, and Senator Duplessis has $166,000. But like I said, you really can't judge him until those September reports. So what that money represents is ability to go to the distance, of course. Then we get to the other part, which is, given that Royce Duplessis jumped in and Arthur Hunter jumped out, I'm of the opinion that at the time you basically had Oliver Thomas and Royce Duplessis and Arthur Hunter kind of engaged in a zero-sum game where they're cutting each other up. I don't really think that's hurt Helena so much. However, because you have a crowded field, which right now, as I calculated, was 11 people running, those 11 people can individually take away, 1% here, 2% there.
Yeah.
She's on the cusp of whether she would make 50%. And one of the things I can tell you, even though my last poll was in May and did not include Royce Duplessis, only 15% were undecided. So you don't really have a lot of movable votes. And at the time as well, it showed that Hunter was getting 11%. So I figure you parcel that out, some to Duplessis, some to Albert Thomas, and maybe some to Moreno. But she's on the cusp of 50 or not. So this is where intensity and ground game are all important. And when you have $1.7 million, assuming that some is invested in turnout operations, that certainly helps her.
Yeah, so Helena Moreno isn't dealing with 100% to get over 50%. She's dealing with about 90% because 10% is going to vote for those other candidates, let's say 10%. And then
I'd say 5 to 10%.
Yes. Yeah. And then you've got, that's a good way to put it. Then you've got Oliver Thomas and Royce Duplessis, and they're going to pull a certain percentage. You add that up. No, it just makes it very, very tight. But for Helena Moreno, it's, if I can get 5% of the white vote from here, if I can get 5% of the black vote from there, I can get it over the top in the primary. And for someone like Royce Duplessis or Oliver Thomas, they're saying the opposite. If they can get that, they can keep her from winning in a primary, and then they feel they might have a chance in a runoff. Does it help or hurt Helena Moreno having both Oliver Thomas and Royce Duplessis in the race? Would it help or hurt her if one of them dropped out? And I would think the way the recent polling I've seen and the way Royce Duplessis has surged, it appears Oliver Thomas is capped. I don't know how he can gain much more. And Royce Duplessis seems like a fresh face that maybe he can gain more. What do you think?
So in the short term, I would say that Duplessis and Thomas in the race together are kind of a negative weight on each other. It's kind of, remember the old, I think this is like a Dr. Seuss book when we were a kid. Remember the Push Me, Pull You? That's kind of how I think of the support that Duplessis and Thomas are getting is one may gain at the expense of the other. And I can tell you the times I've polled the race, Oliver Thomas has not really been a shooting star, so to speak. So if let's say that Duplessis is picking up a lot of support and some of that's at the expense of Thomas, that deflates Thomas's balloon, but I don't really know if that really hurts Moreno so much. There's yet another factor, as if we haven't talked enough variables in New Orleans, and that is, given that you have a city that's gentrifying and is steadily heading towards a 50-50 racial configuration, Helena's pulling about a quarter of the black vote.
Yep.
So the question then becomes, number one, can she maintain that quarter? And number two, to what extent would there be an erosion of her white support if you have Royce Duplessis coming on strong? And you also have a couple of Republican candidates. Now, you know as well as I do that New Orleans is one of the most hostile places in the whole state for any Republican, but given that 10 to 15% Republican base, you can have some hardcore partisans who would go to the polls in October and say, oh, look, a Republican's running. That kind of dynamic is a challenge that Helena has, would be people who are such strong partisans that they would purely vote for someone because they see that R.
And Royce Duplessis is pushing himself as more of a moderate Democrat than Helena Moreno. I mean, let's not kid ourselves, John. This is 3 left of center liberals with Royce Duplessis, Helena Moreno, and Oliver Thomas. So kind of very, very similar extreme left ideology here. Anyone that can separate themselves, that kind of like what Gavin Newsom's trying to do nationally. He's trying to jettison himself from the extreme left and be more of a moderate. If one of the trio can do that, that can only benefit. That's where you get the white Republican maybe voting that way. I've seen it already happening with Royce Duplessis. I've bumped into a lot of white conservative uptown Garden District types, as you mentioned. You mentioning them specifically, just that neighborhood. and they're Royce Duplessis backers, white conservatives. So yeah, it's interesting how the city votes.
So that, and there's two other variables too. As if I haven't thrown enough things into the mix here. You're talking about how to handicap out the mayor's race. One is when some people go to the polls, they don't really vote on which candidate is the best, but they vote on who they think will win. So the psychology of who is supposedly ahead or behind is worth a few percentage points come Labor Day, because whether A, Helena is sitting in the upper 40s, or B, Royce Duplessis is perceived as surging in the polls, that kind of dynamic can impact how some people vote.
Do you think it's better for Royce Duplessis and keeping Helena Moreno out of winning in the primary if he's running without Oliver Thomas in the race, or no?
In other words, if it was more of a heads-up race of Duplessis versus Moreno?
Yes, Oliver Thomas. I'm dropping out and I'm endorsing, Royce Duplessis, and I'm giving him my campaign money.
Well, okay, in that scenario, what gets interesting is I would not expect many of Thomas's people to go to Moreno. I'd expect many of them to go to
Royce Duplessis. Exactly.
In which case, that makes the race closer. Because another thing that's going on, too, when you're talking about if someone is perceived as a winner or a loser, or to, the winners and the losers, as the Gambit used to say, is where specifically Helena Moreno is positioned come election night. In other words, if she's in the 45 to 50% range, that's not difficult for her to overcome in a runoff. But if she's in the lower 40s or even upper 30s, that is a much different dynamic in terms of if you're perceived to have been tapped out versus still having room for growth in the runoff.
Yeah, I think she's in the high 40s and is probably going to stay there. But like I said, I'm just my guess. It's a 50-50. She wins in a primary, and it's just going to be an interesting race. Hey, the sheriff's race in New Orleans. Have you done any polling on that?
I did from May, and what was interesting there is that Sheriff Hudson, in my opinion, was in trouble in two ways. Number one, her fave-unfave ratings were very heavily tilted towards the unfavorability side.
Yep.
But number two, when I paired her up at the time against Woodfork and Shorty and Parker, Hudson only polled at 12% versus 25% for Woodfork, and 42% were undecided. The John Couvillon rule about if an incumbent is in trouble or not is you get below 30 in a poll, that's pretty much rigor mortis.
Yeah, you're done.
So, the interesting question then becomes, depending on how much attention the sheriff's race gets versus the mayor's race, is that, to what extent can Hudson try to claw her way back? I mean, I think she's in serious trouble, but I'm always hesitant to say somebody is absolutely positively dead on arrival come election day.
12% is as close to getting a toe tag as possible, huh?
It's pretty bad. Well, the other thing, too, because I always like looking at the context of things, her fave-unfave was 21% favorable, and I'm talking about Sheriff Hudson, 21% favorable and 63% unfavorable. So that kind of tends to lend itself more towards the toe tag side of the equation.
Yeah, 3-1. John, any final thoughts before we do it again down the road?
The thing that's going to be most interesting to me is, number one, the volume of early voting compared to 2021. And number two, the racial composition, because I have learned that early voting does give you some tea leaves as to what will happen depending on who is voting, who is not, and how many are voting.
John, a real pleasure. Appreciate all the insight.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
That's John Couvillon from JMC Analytics and Polling. Yeah, with a lot of insight, a lot of information on general polling. And, he's like, he's in the business, but we're in total agreement. Like, polls are math and science, and people think it's voodoo and don't believe in polls. I think it's crazy. I mean, they're reputable polls. Those are the ones you believe in. They've got a great reputation. That's what they do. And yeah, and then they're polls that have an agenda and they're working for a particular angle. Corey Johnson with you, coming right back.
Scott Craig of Katie's Restaurant.
All of my ingredients are fresh. Nothing comes out of a can here. Nothing. All of our seafood is Louisiana. All of our vegetables are Louisiana vegetables. It's a neighborhood restaurant.
Katie's in Mid-City.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Tired of cleaning your gutters? Improve the value and look of your home with Leaf Guard gutters. And you'll never have to clean your gutters again. Ever. I guarantee it. Let Audubon Gutters install Leaf Guard gutters today. You'll improve the look and value of your home. And right now is the perfect time during Audubon Gutters' 99-cent installation sale. Call 469-6494 now.
Get out of that gutter and get on the phone. At Audubon Gutters.
Word is, one of the best restaurants in New Orleans isn't even in New Orleans. Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. Cross the lake and taste what you're missing. Tuesday through Saturday, Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-JC.com, your cool spots. TM-JC.com, your cool spots.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes, a magazine as unique as you.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Greater New Orleans, a destination for learning. With 13 colleges and universities and a booming job market, Greater New Orleans is the ultimate destination for your higher education. Your path to the future begins in Greater New Orleans. Find out more at studynola.com.
Yeah, you right, Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson back at you. Hey, why aren't you at Katie's right now? It's almost 6 o'clock. It's dinner time. You know what can be a dilemma living in New Orleans? Where am I going to eat tonight? Where am I going to eat tonight? How about Katie's in Mid-City, as New Orleans as it gets? Iberville, corner Tallahassee. You got Carrollton on one side. You got Doc Francis Parkway on the other. You got Bienville on one side, Canal Street on the other. When I say like the heart of Mid-City, it's the heart of Mid-City. It's the quintessential New Orleans neighborhood restaurant. What's crazy about Katie's, people that live in the neighborhood are regulars, so it's their neighborhood restaurant. There are people that don't live in Mid-City that are in there every day. They get off work like 1, 2, 3 o'clock. It's like their place they go. There are regulars, New Orleans characters at Katie's every afternoon. I know some of these guys. No, it is the quintessential New Orleans neighborhood restaurant. A taste of New Orleans. Yeah, there are people that live in Metairie that it's their neighborhood restaurant, Katie's. Yeah, more is better. More of the good things, just like Scott Craig says. He'll probably be joining us this Friday on the program. My favorite part when Scott joins us, besides him rattling off like a list of 6 to 8, maybe 10 specials on an already expansive menu. No, he knows this. I've got 13 soft shell crab. I got 15 doormat flounder with stuff in those. I got 15. I got, just rattling off the numbers, 17 speckled trout fillets. When they're gone, they're gone. No, literally telling you how many are left, because at Katie's, they rely on fresh seafood. They let the purveyor dictate the menu, what the specials are going to be. I used to go to the grocery like, I want a New York strip tonight, and the ribeyes would look a lot better, and I'd still get a New York strip. It's like, now I'm going to get a steak, and whichever one in the case looks the best, the most marbled, price, whatever, I'm getting that, Well, that's how Scott does it at Katie's. He goes to the purveyor, and the seafood guy goes, Scott, this is fresh from this morning. I'll take it. How many you got? 13. I'll take them. Tonight for dinner, Katie's in Mid-City. Corey Johnson with you on a Tuesday afternoon. Mayor Junket Cantrell, federal indictment from Friday, still the big story of the day. Still the big news story locally, and understandably so. What's next? She'll be at the courthouse on Poydras, 46826, NOLA.com, The Lens, all of them will be there. Social media posts, Junket Cantrell, her attorney, Vappy, his attorney, walking up the steps on Poydras Street to the U.S. courthouse. That'll probably be later this week for the arraignment and bond hearing. What I think is key, something that is key if you're paying attention to this, is restricted travel or not. And I'm certainly hoping, considering Vappy is a big part of the indictment, the travel with Vappy, the 70 grand, the 14 trips that are mentioned, the destinations that are mentioned, those are all huge parts of this indictment. So I'm hoping part of this indictment would be restricted travel, no travel, can't leave the Eastern District of Louisiana. There's no need for the mayor to leave. And if there is a need, she can ask special permission of the court if she can go, like a funeral or some event somewhere, and then the court can decide. But just this arbitrary, hey, we're not going to restrict travel. She'll be on a junket in a few weeks for 2 reasons. 1, because she can't help herself. And 2, because someone will go, it kind of shows you're relaxed and calm and you're innocent. Like you're nothing. This indictment's not bothering you because you're innocent and you're in Paris. No, I mean, I nicknamed her Junket Cantrell. So restricted travel would be ideal when the arraignment and bond hearing goes down later this week, expected later this week at the U.S. courthouse on Poydras. Yeah, it better be restricted travel. The mayor is asking, I mean, you got the indictment, a criminal case, and you have this civil case with Ann Bro, the woman who lived in the Pontalba that snapped the photo of Vappy and Junket Cantrell at Tableau on the balcony, yucking it up. Romantic relationship. The mayor's asking the court to pause that civil case that Ann Bro has against her so she can defend herself, citing the recent indictment. Has to defend the criminal indictment and the civil case. No, it's all coming to a head. The walls are closing in on LaToya Cantrell. And honestly, I'm just giving you what I think, not what I hope or wish, just what I think, where facts, people with strong opinions that know what they're talking about think. I think they're going to be superseding indictments. Like, this is sort of just the beginning. There'll be additional indictments, additional counts against Mayor LaToya Cantrell. She'll be given a chance to plead guilty, and we won't go forward with the additional counts, and you can just plead guilty to some of these present charges, some of the 11. And then she may or may not take that, and then the superseding indictment will come down. We'll see. No, if the mayor pleads guilty, I still stand by, well, we won't see superseding indictments now, but there would have been, and maybe this is what pushed her to plead guilty, because she already would have pled guilty by this time with the feds. I guarantee the feds were like, plead guilty. Here are the charges. We're going to indict you. AG Liz Murrell, in a letter to Mayor LaToya Cantrell, demands all proceeds, money collected from school zone cameras from August of last year, be refunded to those that paid the tickets. Breaking the law. New state law. Louisiana wasn't abiding by it. No, the walls are closing in on Junket Cantrell. No, restricted travel would be appropriate. Not trying to be a jerk, not trying to, pile on. But restricted travel with a mayor I call Junket Cantrell, where the indictment involves her boyfriend and all the travel. The indictment includes 14 trips, all these destinations, $70,000 in taxpayer money. Yeah, restrict the travel already. Tuesday afternoon edition of the program. You know what that means, huh? Tuesday? Tomorrow's Wednesday. Wide open Wednesday. I love it. Where you're the show producer. Hey, coming up in about 60 seconds, you can go to our YouTube channel, The Neutral Round with Corey Johnson. Check out The Real Deal with Dan Real. Got pretty fiery in the 4 o'clock hour. Lots of opinions, lots of topics. And John Couvillon joined us this hour, talking a little mayoral race and sheriff's race, polling and the like. That's Blue Boy. He's the champion of the world. No, I'm serious. He got this big plaque. It says champion of the world, Blue Boy. What, buddy? Tell everybody watching and listening thank you, and we'll be back tomorrow straight up 4 o'clock. Blue Boy, I love you, man. Couldn't do it without you. Mañana.
You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube, on radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
It's 6 p.m.